Howdy and aloha, everybody. This is James with Montauk. I was running around, or kind of trying to run around today at the gym, the community gym, with my grandson, trying to chase him around. That didn't do that good. I definitely need to do more running, more moving, more everything. But I hit my bag. I'm still hitting my bag. Anyway, howdy and aloha, everybody. Let me see. I think Will Pound's Green Independent Green, going after who was screwed over by Arizona and their entire election system. I mean, third party. If you're not part of the two-party oligarchy that already exists, then they don't want you. But he might be on here soon. I might have Cheryl on. Let me just send out some. Uh, got some other people that might be on tonight. See if JJ wants to come on. Who else? Cheryl. I think I just sent her. Oh, I gave her the wrong one. Hey, hey. Yeah, let me just post this now then. Oh, did I already bring up hang on. Did I already do the, no, not that, not that. Here we go. Twitter, Facebook, let's see what we got here. Yeah, we got it. Baking. There we go. I wanted to show this guy. Great coverage. Also, Epoch Times is doing a wonderful job at bringing information. Let me see what we've got in history here. Epoch Times. There we go. They've got some really good coverage.
Earlier in the day, 20% of tabulators in Maricopa County, the largest.
Lot of flip states. People. It's just crazy. And I'll keep that going. I'm going to take the CC off so you can see the headlines on the bottom there. Kind of see what's going on. It'll start to even up once it gets to the West Coast where all the woke, crazy, compliant COVIDians exist. The zombies. Once it gets into zombie land, that's where it all kind of gets tight. But let me just make this smaller so we can see it. I'm just gonna leave it up. Fuck it. Maybe I'll make this bigger. Epoch Times has some good information here. I don't know if you can see that too well. What do we got? Oh, somebody just dropped on. Jordan Lau, what's up, my brother? How you doing, man? Watching the races, eh? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy, bro. There's no doubt. It's just fucking nuts out there. The difference between a lot of shows is I always, and I've had it since I've done this, I think since 2017, is I'll have also the place for the comments. So no matter where this video goes, you'll always be able to see the chat and what people are saying. You can't do that with other channels. It'll show up, but then as soon as trying to hang on to it, and you can post if somebody says something, but whoever, say whatever. And I got Will here now. Hey, Will. How you doing, brother? Did you give that link to that? I really liked John.
Yes. So I want you to. So, do you know how to do the custom streaming service stream key? And we can do it on my Twitter.
So I have to. I'd have to go to Restream.io, and I'd have to set up your streaming code in there. And but I'm just saying, why don't you just use my link and put it on your Twitter?
You don't have to use
Well, just
Reach.
well, tell me what. Just tell me. Tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
Okay, let me see. Hmm. I'm trying to remember how I did it. Oh God, I'm a mess.
I'll send Zach just showed up. I'll send Zach my YouTube channel. There's
Okay.
two that are up now. Actually, he's here. Somebody else is here too. There's all kinds of
Hi,
people.
James.
Hey Zach, you look familiar. I don't know why it is.
Everyone needs a Zach in their
I think
local
everybody
party.
needs a Zach more in any party for sure.
Yes, of
I
all
was
trades.
maybe we saw each other when Jesse Ventura. We were trying to wrangle him up for the
You
Green
know
Party.
what? Make me co-host.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, all that. And
I'm gonna
the
make Will co-host. He's demanding. He's like he. Hold on.
I'm just,
Just
I
get it
think.
going. We're gonna just get it going. I just no worries. That's all good, my brother.
Oh,
So I'm gonna put in the site over here that we're on. I'm on YouTube. I'll put it in here. I'm also on D Live. It might go up on. It goes up on Rumble later, and I've got two YouTube channels that go up. By the way, Zach, I've been through three YouTube channels
that must be
due
fun.
to the Ministry of Truth that existed just before 2020.
Papers, please.
Right? Exactly. May I see your papers, please? I don't. You
Yeah.
ever heard of? When I ever hear that, what's that? Cheech and Chong. Uh,
I feel like you're gonna
it's,
have to make me host for me to gain access to the function. I can't find it.
all right, I'll
Uh,
make you host for a little bit.
yeah, just for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
So I.
that's right. So, yeah, the there's a bit on Cheech and Chong's first album, and it's about this guy. He's in the court in like some Gestapo scenario, and it's just sound. You're just hearing him, and he goes, okay, if you do not if you do not sign the paper, we will break your fingers.
uh,
I can't. I'm not going to sign the paper, right? And they're using this, the German accent, whatever Nazi accent,
sure.
and then he gets to the point where they break his fingers, and they go, "If you do not sign the paper, we are going to keep breaking your fingers. I can't sign the paper. You broke all my fingers."
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, it was funny at the
Good
time.
old. Oh, yeah. Back in the day when we used to listen to audio tapes, right? Cheech and
Yeah, audio
Chong, get
tapes,
albums.
and I had, I had just to have the 45s and 33s,
Oh,
and
there you go.
I'm 58, so
There you go.
I have ancient stuff,
Ancient stuff. Oh.
VHSs. Uh,
So, have you seen anything tonight in the elections that strike you as any kind of new change, or
oh
are you
yeah,
going to
I'm
live in a
seeing
new
there's
world?
I wouldn't say it's a wave like they're saying, but I am seeing a lot of flipped seats. In the House, a lot of House flip seats, a lot of districts are going away. Hey,
Okay,
thank
here's
you for
John.
being Good having you aboard. By the way, I'm on two YouTube channels, D Live, Rumble, I think, and then Odyssey, something else. So
Yeah, I
we're
think we
live.
need
So we're live. I've just posted the YouTube channel in the Zoom meeting. But I really
to.
like what he was saying. I really like what John was saying. Uh, there's the transparent. Okay, transparency. This fucking doesn't exist anymore in our country. It just doesn't fucking exist. The thing is that the point that he's trying to make is there's an entire process of voting that in some areas there's you it gets lost either in the front, the back, the machine, somewhere, somehow. By the time you get that receipt, if you do get it, everything's gone, right? Yeah. Hey, do you want to, John? Do you want to? What do you watch? I'm watching Epoch Times, and I was watching some guy who was. Let me see. And I was going to put it in the background on the YouTube here. It's pretty. I mean, these guys are really immediate. They're following the results really well. And I think I got to go back to it. Where? Yeah, Epoch Times. Yeah. So let me tell you my story real quick, guys. I mean, back in Nam, I'm not old enough for Nam, but I was in the Navy in the early '90s. Uh, I was Republican. I didn't really know. I wasn't really into it. And then I became a Democrat, started going with Obama, like a lot of people got sucked into that. And then I went green, and I was a media committee member of California, you know, running and helping with everything. And we tried to get Jesse. We tried to get support. We tried to get us do as many things as we could to excite the audience, to get people to pay attention to the Green Party.
To get Jesse, tried to get support. We tried to get his.
Oh wait, somebody's reverberating. But they wouldn't. No worries. But they wouldn't listen. It's almost like they were setting themselves up to fail all the time. I was with them for about a year and a half, 2 years, and I did whatever I could to help these guys out and get them the attention that I thought they all needed. And they shit on everybody. Just didn't.
It's setting themselves up to fail. We've never heard that before, right, William?
Jesse, and then fucking Howie Hawkins. That was the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. A guy that had lost like 25 times already, and I don't know, over 20 times in election, in any election process.
24. This will be his 25th.
His 25th, right? And now they're bringing him back, and Jill's right alongside. I'm just like, what the fuck? This is just so senseless.
Full disclosure, James. I know Howie personally from Syracuse. I was one of his campaign managers in 2011. We almost got him elected. He was 89 or something like that vote short. The Working Families Party.
I want to add, it makes him bashful all the time when I say it, but he got Howie closest to a win that Howie ever got to, 2 digits. Howie just had to knock on the doors of 2 digits worth more people, and he would have.
Well, yeah, in truth, he had the endorsement of the Working Families Party, and he told them to go pound sand because he didn't want them to didn't want to endorse the governor's austerity, Governor Cuomo's plan.
Why?
So,
just take anybody.
It was before I joined the team. Right? I was brought in to save the because he was down campaigning somewhere else 6 weeks before the election. Like he was doing a conference for a week, and I told him get him back here. Otherwise, tell him I told his campaign manager, tell him you're going to quit unless he gets his ass back here. But hey, that's look. We're in it to win it. We think that you need to be listening to the electorate. You also need to be issue oriented. You can't be too ideological. You work off your principles. But there's a way to win elections, man. And you have to like people. And running introverts is a very difficult thing. And I tell people, look, okay, so you want to run? Okay, give me a speech. You can't do that? Oh, all right, we're gonna practice. And tell me why the other person sucks and why you rock. Okay, well, this is because that's what the electorate wants to know. So people don't even want to do that. Oh, well, if I say, look, if it only had to have good ideas, we would have won a long time ago. But that ain't what this is.
I agree. There were a lot of things. There was so many things because I came from a marketing background. I know how impressions work, how branding works, how angles of a camera can work, lighting, background.
Great. You're on
shape,
our media
sizes.
committee.
Yeah, there's a lot of things
Done.
that I was trying to help these guys with, and the Green Party was putting up a collage of information and not listing, and in none of their 10 what's the 10 things of the
Oh, we have a couple core values,
core values, right?
that's top 10 things that we
Right,
created.
but the thing was is that not, every state was a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? No, and nobody was. There was nothing cohesive, or you know, just nobody was on the same fucking page. And I was trying to get out and reach out. And I said, I'll make it my job to try to reach out to people. And I said, well, can we come to basically just all putting out the same information, unilaterally, so that everybody is completely on the same fucking page. And I just got pushback from this state and that state. Oh, we have it this way. California's not like you guys. And no, that's not my point. That's not my point. I'm just saying if your message is identical across the board, then you'll start bringing more people, because then they won't get fucking confused. And then the thing about eco-socialism, nobody understood fucking eco-socialism. I understood eco-socialism, but it took me a few months to try to fucking figure it all out. So all I was saying is just keep it simple. Just everybody's an idiot, and try to talk to people because they're all fucking retarded. I'm just going to say that word.
Well, eco-socialism is an ideology.
Yeah.
Issues like crime, like people's pocketbooks, are issues that people and it's tangible, and they talk about it across the dinner table. Mm-hmm. So, we teach you that you have to be moral. In other words, you have to know that you're having a discussion about right and wrong, and even if you disagree, and you have to have that kind of discussion to the electorate, or they don't even let you in. They don't want to hear your plan. They don't care about your budget. And we always do it back. The left does it backwards. The left talks about the budget, the plan, the 8-9 point Bookman font coming from a Marxist, pamphlet. But it's like, well, wait a minute. What is the value here, right? If it's justice for all, or if it's to have peace and nonviolence in reflected in our policies, that's where we start. And we talk about right or wrong in those terms, because that's how people relate. That's what they look at in terms of moral leadership, and if you don't have that, this is why Republicans wipe the floor with Democrats oftentimes, or why Bernie is more successful than others, because this guy's a moral leadership. Bill Clinton used moral language a lot, so it's a communication issue from the get-go, and an unwillingness to listen and to understand that, okay, look, at least if they understand that I'm coming from a position of moral, I'm operating on morals, but it's not an ideology. It's just, we feel that peace is a good value, right? That we shouldn't, our foreign policy shouldn't be about. Yeah. And then we can use that money elsewhere.
Straightforward and to the point. Yeah.
And they can disagree or not disagree, but they will respect you.
That's a check. Next thing.
They will respect you, and now we can have conversations maybe about things that we also agree about.
Living wage, right?
Okay.
Just things like that. That's kind of an issue. And
I have to tell you also,
go ahead.
I did ask Howie at one point, because he had run for governor, and we resurrect him too much. I like getting past him, but you brought eco-socialism, and I did ask him. Jody Schneider's on television. What in the wow? Anyway, so I asked him, how much does this Green New Deal cost, right? And how do you pay for that? Because I had heard he had brought it down to the local level, and we had campaigned a little bit on kind of local transparency about job offerings, and so there's some progressive notion about that, about job retraining. But he had campaigned for governor and started spitting out this idea of the Green New Deal, echoing Roosevelt, and as massive spending and massive retooling of infrastructure. And I said, well, what I asked about the budget, and I've never seen it, right? I've never seen any kind of pragmatic, okay, this is actually how we would implement that from some idea. I mean, there was the notion of pulling a transaction tax off of Wall Street, but that ain't it. No, I'm telling you, that doesn't even get close. So you can do one of these kinds of things, but we were talking about 6 or 7 massive spending type things. And you stop some wars, you cut the military budget in half. Okay, you got a lot to play with, a lot of things there, but maybe you cut taxes, maybe just stop having debt, paying off the debt from all that, just slowing it down. That would take 10 years at least before you really start having money
Right.
to do stuff that's not borrowed, right? And so I don't know. I never got an answer. And so it's pie in the sky. And then the Democrats figured that they would just, whip it around. They never organized any environmentalists, never talked to organizations about what would that look like. What do we need? What do we fight for on a daily basis? And so it was all gold. It's garbage. It's just total garbage. It's just like how they kind of pushed healthcare into a corporate solution, right? Healthcare was our idea. Yeah, that was written by insurance companies. That was written by corporations.
Yeah,
I mean,
a selective few were given the monopoly over everything, and then it just got worse.
Yeah, so a value for that would be, how are we gonna care for our neighbor enough to pay for it? Because we are paying for it. Are we gonna and we're gonna be more productive? Yes, I believe those studies that we're more productive if we're not sick. We don't stay home as much, and so if you're not sick, then you're at work. Anyway, so I have I think pragmatism is very important in basing that on your principles, and you can talk to people. You don't have to always get everybody to agree, but they will understand where you're coming from, and they can make a choice, and it's their choice. This is a job interview, right? We approach it like a job interview. They're the bosses. They want to hire us.
How come you're not running for office?
I am too smart to run for office.
This is where
they throw the chucks and spears, and we need a political party. That's why.
Right. Okay.
William and others.
This is really interesting because when I see people like Jimmy Dore, who I like Jimmy Dore. I mean, he's not perfect, and a lot of people. But you have so many extremely intelligent and very well versed and knowledgeable about where politics really is, right? You got a lot of people out there like that. A lot of them are in independent media, in my opinion, that really know the core of what's happening out there, right? Ukraine's bullshit. The World Economic Forum is fucking bunch of criminals. All this, that, and the other thing. And what gets me is, why aren't these people running for offices like you? You seem very knowledgeable about the process. You seem very knowledgeable about how everything works.
And therefore,
you're not going to run. So what is going on there, Zach?
I just digress. Well, it has to be at a certain point in your life, and you have to be flexible enough to be able to do that. I am a teacher and train people, so I have a background as an activist of teaching people how to go fight City Hall. Right.
Nice.
So that's my skill. If my skill were to be applied, I would have to go find someone also with those skills to help me run, because when you're a candidate, it's different. So I see things that the candidate do not, will not, or doesn't see in their race. I usually work, I like working with a candidate on rhetoric and media and that kind of thing. Yeah. But and also ground game, I think, is important. And there are other people who do other things really, really well. But I think we need to build a bench of leadership that win local races. And I know this approach isn't as popular, but I think you have to win local races. You have to do the work.
You just lost me.
Let me hear me out.
But I'm going to let you go. But I just got to say this. This is where the Green Party is. I agree. Local races are important. I understand that building. But I'm telling you, all the Green Party needed, all they needed, is to pull all their 300,000 Green Party caucus member supporters to put one person in the House of Representatives. One. Yeah just one.
Once you crack it.
And they couldn't. They couldn't band together. And I found the perfect seat. It was Rodolfo in California had the best chance. and nobody fucking listened. It was amazing. It was. I researched all the candidates, and Rodolfo whatever his name, I forgot his last name.
Yeah, what's up in Northern California? Marin and what's the timber country? I thought for sure they were going to get some activists going up there.
Something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and again, that I will say has a lot to do with kind of the way that party, the Green Party, which is not us anymore.
What are you?
The Independent Green Party.
Oh, nice.
And maybe
okay, I like
evolve.
that. Yeah, let's do that.
Independent Dash, and sometimes people think it's Independence plus the Greens.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sort it out with the names at some point. But part of it has to do with the alignment and the orientation of the National Party, how they supported local state chapters to develop leadership. There was a lot of inward-looking, rear guard kind of stuff to maintain power and that didn't grow the party. That's not an expansive electorate-facing approach to community organizing of building an organization of people who then build power and have experience, because some of them win, and you learn from all of those experiences, and you start building kind of a good bench of coaches that have won games. It
that's
takes
important.
a while to do this, and it also is about money. So we're not corporate. So you got to be able to raise money, and that's through people power. Okay, so there's a couple skill sets that we have to build, and I know, I've had friends ask me to run a congressional race for them, and I said no, because you don't have the resources to do it. And I'm not about symbolic. Oh, we got the issues out, and now we educated a Democrat to go corporatize one of our issues, right? Which happens over and over, and so that's kind of where I'm coming from. No, you've got to be able to run, get 40% to be competitive. I don't want to run a 10% race.
Right.
That's ridiculous, right? And it may not be appropriate. And frankly, these people aren't qualified for Congress. Maybe it depends on your idea of democracy, but can you run an organization of a campaign, and can your family do this for a year and a half? Because you can't do it at the last minute.
Yeah.
We have
Jesse was going to do like the last 4 to 6 months. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah,
that was stupid.
We have a bigger rampart to go over, a bigger challenge for fundraising and organizing volunteers and getting endorsements and getting in front of organizations. That gets locked up in the spring. So they book up the calendar, so you can't go talk to people. So you don't even get FaceTime with the civil society organizations that are voters. A lot of these people are voters, and they're also herding voters along issues, right? And they have their issues. But I'm talking about environmental groups, things on the left, groups on the left that are ultimately dependent upon foundation funding, which are greenwashing corporate money, right? So if you start talking about anti-corporate and ending corporate citizenship, every civil rights organization and environmental organization gets money from a corporation that's foundation. So you better believe the call comes from upstairs about that. So we have to figure out a big tent strategy, the way the populists did, to raise money, to build Cynthia McKinney talks about kind of groups and cells and energy.
Yeah, of course.
And you got to be able to do it, and you have to defy human nature. There is no magic bullet. I was a big Jesse Ventura fan. That's how William sucked me into this. But at the end of the story, he's doing the cha-cha. Maybe, hey, maybe this person, and wouldn't that be great? I'm like, did he just refer to himself in third person? He's talking about vice presidential candidates, and he hasn't even declared. I know. You don't do that. I was like, okay, this is a celebrity.
It's an ego thing.
It's an ego. At the end of it was all about him, right? And even though that process was terrible, okay, and what happened could have had a different result, but it is what it is. So there is no one magic bullet. There's nobody coming to save us. We got to build the organization, and it's hard. And they got a lot of people on the other side. They got labor unions that are going to go do whatever the Democratic Party wants to do and make phone calls, and the batteries, getting out the vote, so whatever, we'll learn how to do it, and we'll do it. That's that. and maybe one day I'll run.
Well, let me
But
ask.
I want a party.
Yeah.
I want a vehicle first, right? We got to finish what we built here.
I want to say to everybody real quick.
Go ahead.
So the particular embarrassing kind of sort of lewd message in our private chat. That was QAnon Shaman's co-host for his podcast.
So, do I know who that person is?
The guy from the memes and the horns and the...
Do we know who it is? That's all I'm asking.
I mean, like who he actually is?
Is he a friend?
Well, he does a podcast with them.
With who?
With the QAnon shaman, the guy who was in the Capitol.
Maybe we need some horns.
All right. So my question
I
is
want
how
some
did
horns.
he get this Zoom? Will?
Because I sent it to him because I thought he would be appropriate. I thought he would be a civil participant. You know,
About elections.
probably not accepted that as
Yeah,
reality.
That's a judgment thing. Now I'm really concerned. Could you give me host back,
Is he
please?
in federal jail right now?
No, you're host again. I made you host.
All right.
Long-
Thank you. Yeah. So
Isn't he
whatever.
in federal
I've had
jail?
who? Who's going to jail?
Jake. Jake is in jail. The
Well,
guy with the horn.
Yeah, he
Oh,
is
yeah.
in jail.
I think he got 4 years.
Apparently, they have a setup to where he goes into the jail and does the podcast during visitation. I guess that's what
Out in front of Maricopa County because I'd be going in and out. And I would see him and I'd just shake my head and go, my God. You know, it's cold out there and he's out there.
He's just
with
an
his,
actor.
Yeah, incredible.
You know, I've heard theories that he was an FBI, insider.
Who knows?
Oh,
He's a guy who lived in his mother's basement.
That's probably
Who
the
had
truth.
Social
I
problem.
found it funny. I admit to everybody that I found the dude funny. Just in the, just like it's funny to me. I'm
It is.
sorry.
Well, and I would love for one of those as vice chairman. I would think I could use a horn, Viking horn. It's appropriate. Anyway, you know what really
To
bothers
get
me?
to
though?
get
I
a
gotta-
tour through the White House. I mean the Capitol, not the White House, the
Oh
Capitol.
my goodness! Hey, look, I spent some time working as a fellow on for a congressman, right? And there's all kinds of weird, snaky. Oh, good grief! That whole thing is ridiculous. But what really bothers me is that you do have Americans that are in, and I do not agree or necessarily disagree with them, but to arrest people for a year and without trial, that's the kind of stuff that peace activists used to have to deal with sometimes. And
Yeah.
you go, well, where's the ACLU, right? Where are the civil liberties groups? And all of a sudden, how come they're missing the snooze button here, right?
Mhm.
And it's really bothering to me that we have gone so far down to the point where we catch it, we say, hey, that's wrong. I don't care what their speech is, that's wrong, right? And as Americans, we have to fight for this because we got to fight for that principle because this isn't okay. And you can just go through the Bill of Rights, and there's a consistent effort to destroy them all. I mean, starting with the Fourth Amendment, right? The spying, and I've had it with the people who are toeing the lines as Democrats, who are smart people, who can read, and it's been all over the place in court after court that these people, spied. The Obama administration, Biden administration spied like nobody ever has, maybe ever done before on all their political enemies.
Mhm.
You have Democratic judges like Rosemary Collier writing this for the NSA, right? And I'm like, hey man, read this, and then get back to me about this because I've had it enough with this stuff. This is at a certain point, they have gone around so that sometimes we have things in common with conservatives or libertarians, and we're just saying, where are the
libertarians,
liberals?
yeah.
Where are the liberals, the civil libertarian liberals on this?
They turned
Gone?
into they just became tools to
How did that happen
Yeah,
in 7 years? How
money,
did this happen?
influence, a lot of money
Corporate
from
funding.
corporate
Yeah.
funding. I mean, nobody talks about Citizens United anymore, do they? Nobody.
We
Nobody.
see Citizens United to me isn't a big deal. I studied under with Tom Lindsay and Richard Grossman. I used to do work with POCLAD, the program on law and corporations. The people who came out with, and now what's it, Move to Amend, former Greens doing, Move to Amend to change the constitutional right
Uh-huh.
of corporations. That's not new law to me. Citizens United, you're right. It didn't start with that. That's 100 years old. You and it was a footnote written by a Supreme Court judge. So that's judge-made law, right? So the Supreme Court recently said Roe is basically illegal, unconstitutional because a judge made it. And this is what a legislature has to do. Okay, so you can't give rights. A judge can't give you rights. Legislators do. Congress does.
Right.
Well, that's what happened when corporations became citizens in 1890 in a sugar trust case. There was a footnote in a paragraph that one judge wrote. That guy's unelected, and suddenly corporations are citizens. You had a little bit before that with Dartmouth.
Corporations are
case.
people.
But so,
well, McCutcheon, what goes
law.
along
That's
with
not
that is
controversial.
McCutcheon versus the FEC as well. If you're familiar with
there's
that.
a whole case law. There's an enormous amount of
there's
case law. And
well, all I'm saying is there's a long list of how to get money how to receive money to influence your legislator, your judiciaries, and your executive, and even your department head. Dark money or
CDC?
shadow money, yeah,
why
that's
is
the
CDC
problem,
getting royalty money? What?
right? I know they are. Isn't that crazy? And there's just so many things out there that are just the system is criminal. It's like I'm watching coercion happen like on a daily basis. You know, with politicians and people of just regular U.S. voting republic people out there. They're just getting screwed over. The mandates were stupid. The masks were stupid. All this other shit was just fucking ridiculous and stupid. But the thing is, as long as you keep getting that money from big pharma, brought to you by Pfizer, these people, this circle jerk, I like to call it, of the politician gets the money, takes the money, benefits from the money, not just donations in their campaigns, but also creates laws that benefit, the corporations and
the corporations write the bills.
0.001%, and then that corporation sends money back out to the super PAC, and the super PAC sends it back in, and then it's a rotation of money constantly.
Let's be clear that the corporations write the bills and give it to them.
Oh,
okay?
totally.
They write it for them, right?
Yeah.
James, I need to ask you. So, two guests that are a maybe that may come on tonight, Talanya Adams and Judge Joe Brown. Please let them in.
Yeah. Okay. Just who are they? Are they
Talanya Adams is a woman who won a lawsuit against my opponent, a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for discrimination.
Because the last guy you brought, I'm a little concerned. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's the guy he was friends with, he's co-hosting the podcast with the horn dude.
Right. Podcast with the horn dude.
I thought he'd be a fun person. That's my mistake.
No worries. No, not a big deal. So the problem really is, I mean, this country is in debt $30 trillion with money that they're just making up. It's not even a blank check anymore. They're just making it up. They just, since 9/11, we've already legislators have approved in Congress about an average of $680 billion a year. Every fucking year. It's a blank check, right? To these, to frivolous, co-optive, resource bullshit wars, and that money really doesn't go to where it's supposed to go, and All I'm saying is the entire process, and I can go down the line and how fucked up our system is and how terrible we are. But
Well,
we're
that's a
at
big
this,
one.
yeah, yeah, but
That's over half the discretionary spending
yeah,
is military. Okay, over half
yeah,
the whole budget of the federal government. And the GAO, the General Accounting Office, or now what they call it, Accountability Office now,
yeah.
they tried to audit the military branches, the
They would,
Department of
yeah.
Education and Agriculture, and they said they can't. In other
I
words,
know,
let me
I know, yeah.
explain what that means. They spent the money is gone. It's there, it's not sitting somewhere, but they don't know what they spent it on. So if you said, "What did you spend this money on?" They don't know.
Alan,
Right.
what was that guy's name? Alan. He was a representative. Alan, God,
From
he.
where?
I'm sorry, it'll come to me. But he did. He was in one of the hearings in regards to some money that disappeared during 9/11.
Mm.
Al, God, it's coming to me. It'll come to me later, but and he
So,
clearly stated where did all this money go to? He God, what the fuck
there
is
were
his name?
government offices destroyed in the World Trade Center.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. For a reason.
Yeah.
For a
And
reason.
of course the day before, if you are going to talk about 9/11 2001,
Oh yeah.
the day before the what was it? The Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said that, by the way, we lost a trillion or two.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We lost a bunch of.
Oh, and the records supposedly were in the part of the Pentagon that was hit.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My opponent, I thought Kerry was going to take it.
You thought Kerry who?
Especially with all the progressive votes that I'm getting because I'm more progressive than Katie. My opponent, Katie Hobbs, the one who didn't debate, the one that did that dirty stuff to Talanya that may be coming on.
So Talanya is the lady that was fired by her.
Yes, she was a Senate staffer. She was the Democratic.
Is this the racist lawsuit?
Yes.
So and she might come on.
Yes.
What I can't believe is the amount, the lack of quality, character, personality, just everything you would want the worst of in candidates are becoming Democratic candidates, all under this word democracy. It's because we're taking your it's very obvious. It's the pot calling the kettle black. Most of us get it, but a lot of people don't even understand that they're the ones, along with the Republicans, do it too. Both parties do it. They want to strip democracy from the people. Let's just throw that out there. I would say that the Democrats are doing it more because I'm seeing them following in line, in step with what the World Economic Forum is talking about. The World Economic Forum is wanting. The World Economic Forum, not just the World Economic Forum, it's the World Economic Forum ETAL. Okay? BlackRock, Vanguard, the Center on Foreign Relations, Chatham House, and just a bunch of the elitists from the G7s and the Bilderberg meetings and all these fuckers that come together that create all this crap that these are the most powerful, most influential, richest people, right? There's 2,700 of them out there, 2,700 plus billionaires across the planet, and most of them go to Davos, along with 15 of our Democratic senators, 15 of our U.S. public servants, whether they're legislators, judiciaries, or executives, and 11 Republicans that went to the last Davos meeting. And by the way, to get into the Davos meeting, just to get there, you have to pay $35,000 of our money. And then to speak, you had to pay like $150,000 or $250,000 or some god awful amount just to get on stage with Klaus Schwab or Uri Uvoli.
Yeah, the irony that Democrats promote actually use quite a bit of Marxist language. But the way, if you really wanted to use Marxist analysis of institutions and power, the World Economic Forum ties together people who are from institutions, including academic institutions. That isn't talked about enough. The money flowing from corporations and the government to control what it is talked about in terms of debate. And this has gotten severe now in leftists at universities that I never really ever thought was possible. But because they use anyway. So that's how you control society. You need organizations, you need nonprofits, you need all of these different kinds of mechanisms of organizing people, and that's what that is. And we've been talking about that for years about them, and that also is you follow the money and the lawyers. If you're talking about a power elite, follow the money and the lawyers and document trails, and it's really that simple.
Yeah, that would fix everything. Let's throw that out there because I always talk about that. If you were able to actually, if you did your job, FBI, NSA, CIA, if you actually did your fucking job, whatever fucking department is out there, or especially like fucking tax fuckers.
News media.
Right? If they did their fucking job, if everybody did their job of justice, and there was a hint, like of Nancy Pelosi's trades that she's made and created bills to make her a bazillionaire, right? Whatever, right? Then the IRS and everybody else and all these other fucking departments would be should have been going after and they know where don't tell me they don't know where this money's going.
Those people are those institutions, and especially the intelligence agencies.
They're the protectors.
Are the cover.
Yeah.
Well, that's their cover.
Yeah.
Okay. They're the thugs that prevent people from getting to the real politicians. Bureaucracies do the same thing. Like we've always taught, as a community organizer, you always go after the politician who decides, not the bureaucrat per se, because the bureaucrat answers to someone. They're shock absorbers to the citizenship. They're designed to waste your time and energy, and you can go brutalize beat up a bureaucrat in public, but really, by running them into, how come you're not doing this right? Do your job. But really, it's the politician and the people who give them money. And the news agent, isn't it unseemly that for all of these discussions about vaccines and the jabs, that the news broadcasts are blatantly funded, sponsored by Pfizer? Like, how do people I used to know being critical thinkers not
see that?
That's a problem. That's
how is that problem. How is that like the largest fucking red flag you've ever seen?
This broadcast on smoking brought to you by Camel Lights. It goes back to like when doctors in the American Medical Association promoted smoking in their journals, and they knew those same journals had published articles about cancer, and it wasn't a maybe. It was they knew, and they had a doctor in the ad. So
or somebody in a white coat. Right now, as long as they're in a white coat, people felt compelled, and there's studies. If you're in a white coat and you look like a doctor professional, then you're more likely to take their advice or do what they tell you to do. Stick your finger in your ass, and then quack like a dog, and that'll fix your symptom, and you'll be fine. And people would do it. Some people would not even question that.
Yeah, well, we're going back to the Milgram experiments at Yale.
Yeah.
Right? How far will people go? And, how far did these doctors go? Right? They have oaths. Doctors, I kind of cut the nurses some slack because they are in a hierarchy. But these hospitals, from the top down, determined what would be treated. They had codes that would pay 20% more for this treatment, for remdesivir, for example. I've seen those actual billing codes. And the doctors have a responsibility to the patient, not to the hospital. Pharmaceutical companies keep track of how much product doctors move, as if they're sports. That's a sports team, and that's an athlete, right? And so they're salespeople, and just the notion that you're going to writ large, all of these people are going to be bullied by the AMA and American Pharmaceutical Associations and go along with this nonsense about ivermectin that's won a Nobel Prize and has billions of doses that they've given out. Every pharmacy in the country knows about that, has delivered and given out doses on this. So they have to accept this lie. They know they're lying when they say, well, we're not going to give that out. It's dangerous, horse pace, all of that. And AMA president goes on television talking about this, about horse pace, don't overdose on horse pace. What are you talking about? Like, this is, we have institutional rot at epic levels that we have to start over in the entire areas. People talk about the military industrial complex that includes academics. RFK just did a really good movie and book on the real Tony Fauci, where he talks about the academy and the pharmaceutical corporations and the military working together. And that's a problem. That sews up too much of the decision making. And we saw doctors can't stand up. So I think if you were a doctor and you did not put your career at risk talking, at least try to get booted off of YouTube, right? Then what exactly are you doing? Like, what kind of Hippocratic oath are you upholding to do no harm? I think we should look at this in terms of the Nuremberg principles and how these institutions, including media institutions, facilitated a fraud, okay, and fraud statutes that resulted in people's dying. Okay, and they used remdesivir. They knew that was toxic from the Ebola studies. You can go look at the Ebola studies. They stopped it because it killed people. Okay, they had to stop the study because it was unethical to even continue the study. So is that what you're going to be? That's going to be Tony Fauci's number one product? Okay, great. And since when does the CDC, a bureaucracy, tell doctors what to do, right?
Yeah.
Mitchell helped.
Perfect. You've laid it all out. I'm telling you, three of my channels have gone down. So and I've looked at all the stuff because I was able to take a lot of I was able to take at least 80% of those videos and put them on Odyssey and put them on Rumble. The first channel wiped out a bunch. I wasn't even ready for it. I took as many as I could, but it was too late. But anyway, so a lot of that, everything that you've said, that's now a fact. It doesn't stop the transmission. Blah 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 blah. All this other shit, right? I got taken down from that. I had 743 people, subscribers. That's not a lot because I just started in like 2017. But I had a good amount of people watching me, and all of a sudden I started talking about, this doesn't make sense because 250,000 plus fast food restaurants, here's my credit card, here's my money, they wipe it on your ass. And, and who's the worst people that would get the sickest, that don't have health care, right, is the fast food industry. Who do you know that works at McDonald's that has full coverage? Nobody, right? Or so what I'm saying is that was a red flag. There was a bunch of red flags that were coming up, and I started talking about this shit. Next thing you know, they took me down, and they started talking like May, June, July. Probably around July, I was totally taken down at my first channel. And then I was just a target. What we're called and what we found out, it's a good show that I don't know if you're watching, but I just found them like 4 or 5 months ago. Anyway, it's not Redacted Lee Camp, but it's redacted. I don't know. I'll send you the link. Yeah, they're really good, and they're very professional, and they get everything out there, and they've stayed on. But all that information that they're bringing up now, I got taken down for a year and a half, almost 3 years ago, right? Which is fucking ridiculous. So now you're talking about the same shit that isn't going to take us down because now it's all known, and it's just going to get worse. The biggest problem is they're not going to start talking about the deaths. They're not going to start talking about the adverse effects. And this is the biggest thing that, everything that's coming out on independent media. Sorry, I went through my sentence and detoured. But anything that's on independent media, of course, is stifled. mainstream media. You won't see it in MSNBC. You won't see a lot of shit on Fox. You won't see it on Al Jazeera, especially PBS, which is already bought and sold. All I'm saying is most of the country, and the problem is most of the country right now is like I'm watching these interviews of these election people, and they're asking what they're asking a question. This is important. So they're asking a question. So what did Biden do? That what policy or what did he do that was beneficial for you? That's not the question. The question should be, what are the three channels that you're watching for your information about politics? And that's going to tell you where those people are at. If I know that somebody says, well, I just get my stuff from Rachel Maddow and CNN, you know that person's on their third or fourth booster, right? Let's just get that out of the way. If you've on somebody on Fox and then I watch CNN every once in a while, well, they probably may have taken the booster or taken the first shot, but not anymore, right? And then so the biggest issue is influence. How these people are being manipulated and influenced for so long. I talk to some people every once in a while on the job that I do, and hey, Snork, how you doing, buddy? Good seeing you. You look a little dark. You okay? Just keep it dark. I'm cool. It's okay to keep it dark. But anyway, you got to Snork is brilliant. So the thing is now is the media should be responsible. You're right. All of them, and an amnesty, I think, should not be given to the people that help push the poison, right? The people that supported pushing the poison and told everybody it was okay to take it, right? The people that I think deserve amnesty are the people that, and look, marketing, I know marketing, branding, I know brand, and how the whole process works. And how they get people in their emotions, get them fear, give them love, give them, this is your, Brad Pitt comes out and portrays Fauci within the first month and a half, right? And all this other bullshit. And I'm just fucking laughing because I know these people are just eating it up. They're just fucking eating it like ice cream with fucking fudge on it and just going after it tenfold. So I think there should be some definite accountability. But the problem is they're indemnified. But here's some good news. I'm just going to tell you this. Keith Schmidt of Missouri, he's running for Senate. I think he's going to easily take the seat tonight. Has a lawsuit to bring Fauci into questioning regarding his practices, just a lot of shit. If that goes into discovery, they're fucked. Have you heard about that lawsuit? I'll send you the information.
I may have. I mean, I do see. Again, I always feel like the solution is really more in the people, and I'm not just saying this kind of as a reaction.
Right. No, it's okay.
But at the end of the story, the crisis for these institutions, these media corporations, is that people don't believe them anymore. And that's gotta come first before a judge sticks their neck out and they get threatened and blackmailed and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So the problem is a pretty big one. It's not something that you can just deal with a little bit here, a little bit there. I would hope that and we have had some cases where we learn things and you get it in print in court, and that does wake people up and it has a reverberating effect. But absolutely, I wish that person well. The lawyers, that I do have to say though, that is the home court of the opposition. Like you're going into the bear's den trying to take out the bear. That's a bad place to be because court isn't always what it's portrayed to be. And I think we've also been sold a narrative about how courts changed the civil rights movement, or and it wasn't a popular movement. It wasn't populism, and it wasn't people actually taking risks and against institutions. And there's consequences for that. That's really heavy. It's not clean. It's not hire one person as a white knight to go do it. It's good to have white knights, and those can change things. But so a lot of the left hangs the civil rights legislation and environmental legislation, which is a background I kind of come from also, hangs all on the Commerce Clause of the Constitution, right? Well, then you got that's game, advantage corporations. So it's tough. Courts are tough. It's a tool. So I wish him well. And absolutely, why are people at the CDC getting royalties and patents? That's not public service.
Great,
What in the world?
How is that even happening? No,
Yeah,
the FDA. I
it
didn't
makes
even
sense.
realize how. I mean, what the UK bottle of ketchup consists of compared to the bottle of ketchup that we take in the United States. They have like pure tomato sauce in a sense. We have like five different, all kinds of fucking A, B, C, D, Zeppelite, and all this stuff. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. We are fucking. We
If
have
you can't read it, then it's not food.
exactly. It's really
Yeah.
bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. Well, this is also a place where, for the independent Greens, and maybe I'm speaking more for myself here, I personally feel that, I did a lot of systems modeling and I'd really like to know computationally how there's a global model that shows all this climate stuff that's been fed to us
Okay,
at certain times.
you talking
And
to the right person. I have somebody
I
here
kind
that
of have
knows
a problem with
some
some
of
of
that.
those things that that you're saying. I would love to see that computational model. And by the way, what's the track record of it? But put that aside. The things that you can grasp, that we do have undisputed piles of evidence from doctors and from nurses and from mothers in terms of environmental health, is the toxicity trail. Living downstream, to use Sandra Steingraber's phrase.
Oh, for sure.
This is undisputable that there are certain types of pollution that matter. There are things that are in our food that do matter. And that does not discriminate between a political party, okay? You're not picking
Or a corporation.
winners.
Right.
Well, some corporations, I'm sorry, Kraft Heinz, and others that are making this ketchup,
Right.
and making ketchup out of all of us.
Pretty much.
So I think that a fight on toxics, a former colleague of mine was in court trying to, who works with the Fluoride Action Network, trying to get this neurotoxin that if you go dump it into the groundwater, the EPA is going to fine you a lot and put you in jail. But if you dump it into the water supply, it's cool. You get tax breaks or whatever. It's okay. And somehow, you can't control the dose. Infants and pregnant women drink the water supply. There's all kinds of scientific reasons why this is not adding up. And so she went into court, and that's the great dissolver of social movements. Really, court is kind of where social movements go to die. But I think the toxic stuff, the toxic load that Americans have
on their bodies,
on the body, and this is determinative. This is dose dependent. Doctors, we got mountains of this to prove it. It's not really in dispute. So. And then you got genetically modified foods and the pesticides, glyphosate, which shuts down. There's research out of MIT showing that glyphosate. Actually, multiple people have shown this very clearly. That it causes defective copies of glutathione from the liver, which is our master kind of detoxifier antioxidant. Okay, it's what kind of turns poison into not poison. And then we can get it out of our bodies. The first part of detoxifying. So it causes that to malfunction, okay? And the liver makes too much of busted copies, and then you get liver inflammation, right? So in other words, it's making we're actually putting things on our food that make us unable to clear poison out of our body. If you wanted to kill somebody slowly, that's how you do it, okay? It's not going to do it overnight, but it means that you're gradually more toxic. Organs are moving away from where they want to be, and where they operate the best. You're down regulating health from an organ perspective, starting with the liver. You want to destroy someone, the liver does so many things. So glutathione, if you destroy that, then immune systems, autoimmune, are going to have more significance, and across the board. And you look at the United States, what's the biggest health issue? Probably almost half of this country or more have autoimmune problems. I mean, this was unheard of 30 years ago, right? That at that scale, and we're in exponential curves for some of these. So that's where I'm at. You want to change the health in healthcare. Let's change the food, right? And let's make, and I don't mean I do it, but let's talk about toxicity. This is something that regulators can do,
Here's if you don't mind, I'm interject, and then I'm going to introduce Snork, who knows a lot of stuff here. So the condiments, right? If you There's a restaurant I used to go to in Newport Beach, California, really high end restaurant. This is when I was making some pretty good dough at the time. So I was selling direct mail for car dealerships. I don't know. Anyway, the little flyer that you get. Hey, buy a car, you get a free credit card or something. Here's. So the thing is this restaurant. If you go there, you had to eat it the way it was served. There were like 8 total main dishes, and it would change like on certain days. So you would go there on a day when it's like prime rib, and you go there on a day when it's like T-bone, New York steaks, whatever. And then they have lobster, all kinds of stuff, right? So you had to eat it, and you weren't allowed to add. There was no salt on the table. There was no pepper on the table. All there was is a fork and a fucking knife, right? And the salad, and a dinner salad. But it was kind of blunt the way they set this place up. I'm trying to remember the place. I only went there like twice. But you had to eat it in this. And I remember this one person said, if you order, medium rare, however you want to order your stuff or what are you eating, whatever. But if you ask to have it changed, the chef will come out and give you shit. Sure enough, this idiot in our fucking group of salesmen goes, "Oh man, I ate a medium rare," and I go, "Dude, that is medium rare." He goes, "No, it's not rare enough," and I go, "Dude, you should have said rare."
Oh,
He goes,
classic argument.
so anyway, so the guys come out. The guy, he asked to talk to the chef. The chef came out. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I was rare, and I go, "What do you?" And then he gave him so much information on cooking in like about 3 minutes. It was amazing. This is how rare is supposed to, right there. And he goes, "How does it taste?" He goes, "Actually, it tastes okay." And he goes, "Okay." I goes, "These are all natural ingredients, organic natural ingredients. You eat the food here every day, you will never die." This is like his words. You will be healthy. And all this stuff.
So you ever watch movies from the 70s? You go back and remember,
The what?
No, they had, you go back and watch movies from the 70s. Everyone's thin. There's no high fructose corn syrup.
No, exactly.
There's no lubricant seed oils.
Yeah.
They had Mazola corn oil, but that didn't last long. We said, okay, get this margarine out of here.
Yeah, margarine is terrible for you. Now it's anyway. Snork, how you doing, buddy? Did you want to interject in regards to some of these chemicals he's talking about, or
unmute, Snork?
There we go. No, so out here, I mean, it used to be for a long time. You used any butter at all, you were treated like a villain, and it turns out that was what's good for you. In fact, there are chemicals in butter that actually help clean out your blood vessels. And same is true with a lot of the things that are currently put down. The glyphosate, we definitely do need to do something about how that's used. My wife actually did research for Monsanto on glyphosate. And basically, almost everybody either died of cancer or had very severe cancer in her department.
Wow.
Stork, did you ever read the classic article of the ecologists on Monsanto?
No.
I think there was a paper that there was it was like a magazine, activist magazine, and they were early in busting a lot of that. But Monsanto went wild. They went nuts, lawsuits and stuff, I think. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, Uh, I think that most of the organic things that I see, I don't consider really organic. Um, I think a lot of what I see is just people paid to have a label put on and don't have the proper controls for it. We're currently having a problem out here in Iowa with ammonia and in our wells. I mean, just the not just the glyphosate, but we're having the other chemicals uh, that weren't tested for.
Mm.
So all of a sudden, we do a few tests and we find that we have horrible levels of all kinds of chemicals in there.
And
Glyphosate is just one.
and part of that's
So
from bad land policy too, land management. Because nature does have a way to, with fungi, with the microbiome in the soil, to break down a lot of these dangerous compounds. And you're talking about ammonium. You said ammonia. That's
I
a
did.
nutrient, but I think this comes from synthetic and kind of more heavily on the chemical side of creating fertilizer, and no reliance on any kind of composting or land management that rotates what is in the soil, right? And organic farming has those principles in it, but it's more than just like a label. And I agree with you about the food. If it's not whole food, then it's still manufactured. You're still taking things out, and denaturing them by and large, and you've got to preserve them somehow. And if you're putting it in a box that's supposed to sit on a shelf, then that's different from something that comes from a farmer's market that can rot. If you don't have food that can go bad, then it's a little different, and it has different nutritional qualities too. I have some concerns about the hydroponics, and there's a reliance on hydroponics because it doesn't have this soil contact to the degree and the microbiome.
Actually, I really liked hydroponics. I didn't do it the standard way.
Did I just miss the meeting of Zach Moore and Snork today? Did I just walk out on that?
I do. Snork Y2K.
I actually used to do. Yeah, I actually used to do a combination. My late wife's undergrad degree was chemical engineering, and her graduate degree was in plant physiology. And I also have some various different engineering backgrounds. And I volunteered to help an island come up with a way to grow food because they couldn't grow it in the ground anymore. They were salt saturated. So after wintertime, I brought my crops inside and tried to keeping them alive in the bathroom. My wife was usually quiet until she'd just get so frustrated. She'd say, you don't have enough light in the bathroom. So I took a tomato plant that was indeterminate and put it in my kitchen, and it grew to 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide, and 2 feet deep. So it was producing several pounds in my kitchen of tomatoes, I'd say several times a week. And I'd have to go over and flick them every day to keep them pollinated and all that. That is what I call organic. Now, I was using...
There's a lot that we could do here, Yeah.
At first, I was using soil. And then by the end of when I had the plant, I was using 3 gallons of water and nutrient per day. That's how much water went through my tomato plant. And I'd first started off with drip bottles that almost looked like IVs, dripping down nutrient onto the dirt. Pretty soon, all the dirt was gone. And I just had this huge root ball, about 2 foot diameter, this root ball, and it was constantly just moistened. Probably had different fungi and stuff on it. So it wasn't your typical a bucket thing for hydroponics. It was actually in open air. And then I experimented with different types. I grew peppers outside. I made a frame 10 feet tall, 10 feet wide, and hang chains of hydroponics out there. And I grew a heavy nutrient mix that I found that I considered more organic than pretty much any organic farmer I saw. My chemicals were clean, rotated in the. So my wife died on Thanksgiving, and that's when I shut down my farm.
Mm-hmm.
I lived 60 miles west of Chicago, and I was still growing outside without heaters, just letting the sun heat my nutrients. And I had crops growing until I left. Probably another week or two later, we had a snowstorm that probably would have killed it all. But I still had bugs and I still had everything coming out. And the hydroponics that we see is actually totally different than what I did.
Yeah. Well, there's so many other ways that I think that we could explore. I'm not sure that government needs to be pushing that, but when you look at what we have, it clearly favors and subsidizes the production of food that is unhealthy, particularly maybe overproduction of corn for high fructose corn syrup, so in some ways, if you favor one, then you take away from the other, you make something so cheap, it appears affordable, but it's not healthy at all. And I'm not, I don't necessarily think that the government should say this is what you should eat at all. I'm not a socialist, but I do think that if they are picking winners, they're picking corporate winners and corporate welfare, and government can say this is causing harm and that this is toxic, and there is a role for that. People have said we do want a Food and Drug Administration, but the problem is the USDA, which also promotes agriculture, promotes chickens, promotes livestock, and all of this stuff with factory farms. Is the end result. They help promote those things, but yet at the same time they're going to regulate them. But they're not regulating them at all. So if it's food, you need to put it in the FDA, right? And get the U.S. Department of Agriculture out of the regulation business, right? Because that's a clear conflict.
Yeah.
So we can't even have this conversation with what you're saying. The diversity and plausibility of having urban food, and oftentimes people refer to urban areas as in poorer areas in the United States as food deserts. And because they don't have necessarily non-contaminated places to plant, they might have backyards. Sometimes they, but how far is it to go to the grocery store, right? Because the grocery store is not going to set up where there's high crime areas because they leave, So there's this a lot of issues on the kind of a ground level. Hydroponics are another part of that mix, and
well, one thing with hydroponics that a lot of people don't realize. The
Minerals.
way we grow corn is almost hydroponics. We have blown the real soil out, and each year we basically put nutrients on the ground and hope that rain and water falls from the sky. And in a lot of ways, that's almost hydroponics. Is we're using a substrate. In the hydroponics I used a substrate. I don't like having them growing in rock wool. If I'm going to eat a vegetable, I don't want pieces of glass growing into it. So I use like coral or other what I call organic elements for holding my stuff up. I want to make sure that not only what I cook is or what I grow is good, I want to make sure that my methods don't incorporate bad stuff. And the lighting system. And I'm sorry, I'm recovering here. I'm upstairs. I show you some of my corn that I'm growing. So one of the things we're doing out here is we're growing corn 10 feet tall. The best corn is 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
And,
I just want to file a protest that James is having an election night treat and I don't have one. It makes me want to go get one. What is that, James? What do you have there, man?
I'm Hawaiian. I'm eating pineapple.
Oh, dude, yeah. Get some bromelain. You're Hawaiian.
Yeah, 42%.
You live in Hawaii?
No, I'm actually in Missouri.
Ah, I see. Well, I'm a Kama'aina, so there you go.
Oh, really? You used to live in Hawaii?
I was born there.
You're
and
local.
I did have family. I live in Georgia now.
Where were you born in Hawaii? Where?
Tripler Hospital.
Oh, really? What city are you from?
Well, I've lived all over. So I live in
Like,
Savannah right now,
no, but I mean in
Georgia.
Hawaii. How long did you live in Hawaii?
Well, I was baby. Yeah, I was born there a couple of
Okay,
years. Yeah, we
military
moved to
was it
California. Yeah,
military? Yeah, okay.
yeah. My father was in the Navy.
Right. Me, I was in the Navy. Yay, go Navy.
Yeah, he was a whistleblower too. Boy, that's doesn't always work out
That's
right.
interesting. Yeah, no,
You
not
get
these.
your
Well, here's the other thing that, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up is so all these people lost their jobs, and about 80,000 people in the military were either canned, general,
yeah.
under honorable conditions discharged or dishonest discharges, and some of them were forced to retire early because they wouldn't take the puka. Right, puka means hole in Hawaiian.
Uh,
Right, they wouldn't take it, so those people got screwed. And now it's just so. In regards to the FDA, in regards to the USDA, in regards to all these supposed departments, services that are supposed to be looking out for our best interest, they've been compromised long time ago, long time ago,
well,
and the
our FDA
conflicts
will
of
use the word
interest.
captured. Captured is a
Yeah,
good word.
yeah,
Yeah,
captured.
it means owned.
Yeah, they're owned. They're just assets, and yeah, it's really sad. So look, we're talking about the political system. We're talking about all kinds of stuff, but the entire U.S. system itself, in so many ways, and this is global, is literally poisoning people. They're just because big pharma, big hospital, big elderly care doesn't exist if everybody's eating pineapple, right? I mean, if I came in here with a Mountain Dew like most people when I lived in West Virginia for 3.5, 4 years, that's what everybody drinks. Mountain
Oh, you're
Dew.
not drinking that snork, are you?
Yeah, I
Uh,
hope he's not. I
but
hope he's eating healthy.
no,
You know,
I actually, my doctor said the Mountain Dew is what kept me alive.
Oh my God.
you know what Mountain Dew translates in Japanese? What do you think?
No.
It was the number one sports drink in the United States, and what was it? Maybe Pepsi owns them. They said that we're gonna go move it over to, we're gonna go, make some money in Japan, and they didn't bother to do the translation. And so dew, it was an athletic drink, and you sweat, right? And dew is the condensation of water, and Mountain Dew, you think of the mountains, it's kind of
Right.
like Coors, the mountain water, and they're out there with cups, getting it, putting it in bottles, or yeah, right. And so it translated into sweat drink, and the Japanese weren't having it.
So, but
Sweat
one of
drink,
the
man. Sweat drink.
yeah, one of the most popular drinks in Japan is Pocari Sweat.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I've
Not,
heard that too. Like that, there's a new one, but this was a while ago.
yeah,
Maybe they learned. They
Hey,
paved
real
the
quick.
road.
maybe
Hey, real
that's
quick.
why it's in there.
Hey, real quick. Stacey Abrams lost. Thank you. I know. Fuck her.
She's a
Look.
Hillary Clinton,
Yeah, she's just a Hillary
chess
Clinton
piece.
minion. Yeah, exactly. She's part of the bullshit. And I'm watching Snork. Are you able to share, or who's good at sharing?
Uh,
Yes, someone could share the results and stuff.
No, I've got Carrie Lake on now. I think she's winning or something. I don't know what's going on here.
let's see.
It's on YouTube.
If she
I'll put it.
loses that race, man, something's wrong.
Something's
She's been
fucking
wiping
wrong.
the floor.
It's in the.
Sharing the screen.
Yes. Share the
80
screen.
Can you
What?
share, Snork? Can you share the screen, please? Of that.
sure. What do you have the link?
It's right there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. And let me
Yeah.
let me expand this. And it's been a while. I have to remember how to share it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I can tell you the Democratic Party is all in Georgia. They have spent so much money, and I just think Stacey Abrams runs terrible campaigns.
Oh, it's stupid.
She just doesn't know what. Yeah, I don't. That was such a waste of money for them. So
Primary
okay,
election.
here we go.
Oh, okay.
Is this an acceptance
But-
victory speech or is this
So
old?
we came out and they said, "Oh wow, they're 10 points down." The fake news was asking us to concede, and we climbing. We turned 15 points around and we won by 5 points.
Ooh,
You took it.
yeah.
You need to know it's early. It's very early, and if we have to take this fight through, we will. If it takes hours or days, we will. But the great news is every single drop of election ballots that have come in
Abbott
the
won.
last 3 drops have shown us up 85%, 87%,
Whoa.
81%.
Wow.
I just want the propagandists back there to know, don't embarrass yourselves. Don't embarrass yourselves.
Is that up all the way, Snork?
Oh, do I need to increase the volume?
Please.
Don't do it again. You've done it too many times.
There you go. Thank you.
But what I want you to know is that the same movement we had last night at that rally in Prescott, the same movement we had at that rally in Scottsdale, the same movement we had at the rallies we've had before with record people is the same movement we have right this second. Nothing has changed.
And this is Terry Lake with Fox 10 News.
And I want you to know we are going to monitor the ballots. We got to work in the system that we have right now. And as they continue to come in and our numbers go up, up, up like they did last time, when we win, first line of action is to restore honesty to Arizona elections.
So you guys, you can take it down now.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So you guys understand. Thank you very much, Snork. So you guys know there was some crap going in Maricopa, right? And with the machines.
Yeah, let me tell Snork if you. I think you've heard, but
Go ahead.
so I went to 4 polling places and I gave everybody refreshments. You know, I used one of my fucking WAG payouts. I worked hard the last 2 days and I spent $70 on just getting drinks and snacks for people waiting in line. I didn't even say anything about my campaign. I just gave people refreshments to stay in line. And I was at 4 polling places. It was fun.
That's cool.
Every polling place, the parking, no room. I had to park outside for the most part. One of them, the first one, that I took a video.
How many megabytes per second does he have? Uh-oh. Did my... I'm in red. Sorry, guys. Oh, no, it's back. I'm just having a Zoom issue or something? What's going on here?
That I'm the loser. But, you know...
You're not a loser. It's the system's fucked up.
So if Lake
man.
becomes governor, how does that change? What can the governor do? Because you have an attorney general that basically done nothing, to, as far as I understand, in Arizona. And then the Secretary of State is still...
Mark Brnovich, he could have became attorney general again. He chose to challenge Blake Masters and lost. I have my own grievances with Blake Masters. I hate him. But we can get into that.
So where's this going? If you have a new governor, a different Secretary of State, and a different Attorney General, how, you know, there's still a lot of raw nerves about the 2000 election and that audit. Where is it at? I mean, can a governor, where's the governor's power stop and a Secretary of State's power start?
Well, here's what the Secretary of State just controls the elections, or not like it's like written
those documents.
Sort of, it's written kind of sort of that there's supposed to be some separation between the Secretary of State and county recorders, but that's not really quite the case when you look at what kind of access that the Secretary of State's office has.
Who's Ronwell Nagel?
And that's a really crucial thing to look at.
William, what's Ronwell Nagels?
Yeah, we can't hear you. You sound like you look like a politician. Your lips were moving, but you weren't saying anything.
Unmute. James, there you go. Go into the light.
You still have no sound.
Who's Ronwell Nagels?
Okay, there you go.
Who's Ron Nagales?
Oh, he is
Yes or no?
he
Just yes or no, in or not?
in.
In. Okay.
He's trustworthy.
Okay.
Good supporter of mine.
Okay. Well, I just said yes. It probably took a while to do that because nobody could hear me. Sorry. There's this button on my little thingamajig. Anyway, I keep pushing it the wrong way. Here, so here's what we have now, as far as I can tell, is that I've never seen so many campaigns run like shit in my life, from very, very important positions to change the direction of Congress, the House, the Senate, right? Somebody's asking again. Hold on. Who is that? Hold on. Invite. You can now send nonverbal. So I admitted Ron twice. Okay, you're in there twice. Does Ron know how to use Zoom?
Maybe his thing is just maybe he's having technical difficulties.
Yeah, who knows?
That's a thing. Even
So
more,
who put this up? Who's?
I did. These are the election results so far for the
Okay,
Senate
okay.
governor's race. So let's see. So it seems like the Democrat is beating Blake Masters. I wasted my vote on Mark Victor. He dropped out. And endorsed Blake Masters. So that's. But I'm one of those wasted votes over here.
There's a lot of them.
One of the only 2 times I've ever wasted my vote was on
Right.
Mark Victor and Angela Green, both third-party candidates, Green Party and Senate, Green Party Senate candidate and Libertarian Party, and both have dropped out. And Angela endorsed Kirsten Sinema, and then Mark endorses Blake Masters. It's just like pressure campaigns. Like if the Democrats and Republicans be pressuring, they be pressuring third-party candidates to drop out, and that's what happens. Anywho. Well, it seems Katie is leading, and I'm not surprised by that, because I saw a lot of people drive out and leave the line at the 4 places I went. So we'll see. And you also have to consider that 6,000 of these votes probably weren't even cast, or I don't know. Because, 6,000 votes were, at least in the early voting. We're a state that 90% votes early, right? 90% of us votes early. And but 6,000 plus of those votes didn't have the gubernatorial election on them. And so that's another thing that Katie has done here.
They're fraudulent ballots in some sense, right? They're incompetent ballots.
Federal races. And these are all just, they're important, but really, come on. So, yeah, that's what we're at right now. So Blake Masters, right? He's a Zyocop. But he got the endorsement of Ron Paul. And so, I don't want to give my ire too much to Ron Paul, rather than I would like to give it to Dave Smith, okay? Dave Smith, have you ever heard of him? Has anybody here heard of comic Dave Smith? No? Snore?
Nope.
I've been so isolated from everything for a little while.
Oh, wow.
So.
Well, he's the dominant voice in the in the Libertarian Party right now. He kind of, sort of, I guess, is in charge of the National Mises Caucus. But now a lot of state Mises Caucus affiliates are against him. Just as many libertarian parties have seceded from the National Libertarian Party. Let me find.
Why? Why have they left?
Huh?
Why have they left?
Why have they left?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of the Mises takeover. When the Mises caucus took over the Libertarian Party, Dave Smith at the front of it, for one, eliminated a woman's right to choose from the platform. And they also, they did some sensible things like, sex-based rights, like Georgia did, the Georgia Green Party did. There were a
Which
lot
are now one of us, right?
There were a lot of fundamental disagreements, though, like the abortion stuff. And, and Dave, using all that power that he has accumulated, taking over the National Libertarian Party, he has alienated a lot of these people who joined because of the socially liberal part of being a member of the Libertarian Party. Now, I have on occasion been contacted by Libertarian state officers wanting Cynthia. And to that I say, for one, we have to have a primary that I'm sure Cynthia will dominate in a fair fight. I want a fair fight. I want to host a fair fight. That's something that I was denied when I was doing the Jesse stuff. I want a fair fight. And it is my absolute goal. We already have 3 candidates for chairman for my successor. By July of 2023 is the aim for the election date, so that I can start working for Cynthia without a conflict of interest. These are some critical things, and I want to hear people's take. But okay, let me just say this to the libertarian offers I've received. I'm already in a civil war, right? And that's taxing. That's taxing. I'm already in a civil war with the Green Party. Do I need to involve myself in a civil war with the Libertarian Party? It's like, that's a lot of pressure. It's something that I consider because Dave is a very divisive figure, and I would love to take him down. Dave Smith has never been up against somebody like me. He's taken down some limp-wristed motherfuckers, but I'm going to tell you this something, Dave Smith, if you're watching. William Pounds is made of iron.
You gotta love his spirit.
Well, I don't know how I can follow that.
I'll just say this. All I have to say is, before you even started your race against, people that are probably already decided on their elections. I mean, we have some nefarious things happening with Maricopa, which is one of the biggest counties in, what is the biggest county in Arizona?
Maricopa County. It's the third largest county in America.
Right. So what I'm saying is, of course, right off the bat, they're having machine problems. So now they have to. So from my perspective, knowing that this Hobbs pathetic creature, whatever the fuck she is, with no backbone, she's getting. I don't know how she's getting elected for anything, but she's actually winning right now by 57% to 45% or 40-something percent.
Says
Again, yeah,
178,000
yeah,
votes, almost 179,000.
yeah. Which is a good,
50%
which
in.
is a crazy margin. Which is fucking fun, which is crazy to me. So we already know what happened in Iowa with Dominion back when Bernie ran, right? We all remember that, right? And that's when I knew Bernie wasn't in it because Faid Shakar was Pelosi and Jim Carrey, not Jimmy, John Kerry, Jim Carrey, John Kerry's assistant to their campaigns and to Harry Reid, right? And these are just longtime lobbyist bitches, whores, right? So now you've got this guy working for fucking for. Once I realized that was the one of the major components or people of Bernie's campaign, I knew he was. It was already decided. Dominion wasn't an accident. It was how it was supposed to be laid out. Everything that these machines do and are capable of doing are giving an opportunity for or just options to rig an election. Nothing.
And that was when they had the app too. They had some sort
Yeah,
of
they had
computer
the
counting
bad
on the
app
caucus.
situation. Oh yeah, it was the whole thing was
from the
ridiculous.
caucus.
Snork and I were on top of this like crazy. Snork probably knows a lot more than I do, the more details of it. But the point I'm getting to is, like I said before, a lot of these elections, in my opinion, are already pre-done. I think they're already set up, and I think this is just a big illusion. That we're seeing. Oh, it's tight race, and this person that da da da. And the pendulum swings, but still, no matter what, and it's been like this for a long time. The 99% get the shitty end of the stick. It's never. I mean, in 2008, for 76 days, the Democrats had the supermajority, House, Senate, and POTUS. Roe versus Wade. Where was that? Where was? And what's weird is 2009 is the last time they even touched the minimum wage. Where was free college back then? Where was M for all? All these other things that could have been codified, could have been totally bronzed in stone. Basically, could have been bronzed in a sense.
Then you'd have to admit judge-made law is not law if you legislated it. All that Supreme Court stuff, they would have to say, "Oh well, that wasn't really enough."
Yeah, it may have helped.
Yeah, they believe that myth too. That the courts will save us. So, that myth would have to get shattered. That's a little awkward.
Yeah, we all. I mean, if you watch Combo Catch, right? Who watches Combo Catch here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. They were all over that, and Tim Canova. We talked a few times, and I was just like, dude, what's going on? He goes, they're stealing it. There's just no other. I mean, Bernie had God, if you used to watch his rallies, he'd have 40,000 people. And then you'd watch Hillary in the primary. She had what, 85 people when they panned out. I mean, at the most, it was so obvious, and it's still obvious. And that's the sad thing about all of this is if you go to Ballotpedia and you look up what states and what counties or what areas use certain machines or what their processes is. Their processes of voting on the machine voting, it's almost like a no-brainer that's going to be rigged to whoever they want it to be, and we're talking about the elite. So there was something that I brought up a while back that I always bring up with Snork, and something about it was the traceable ballots, or the what was that, Snork? That
Well,
Hillary. Go ahead.
back in the I think it was the 2016, or was it? I think it was the
16,
2016 one.
16, yeah.
Uh, Only places Hillary won were places that had pre-written ballots, did not have caucuses. If people went there, she lost. And but I should get on to I'm in Iowa. I've been here since right at the end of 2015, and so I came out here, got into the Republic, or not the Republic, the Democratic Party here. Tried to participate as well as I could. So the first election that Hillary won in Iowa. Remember, she won in Iowa. She won in Iowa because there was 6 ties. Now,
The coin flip.
I actually was kicked out of the Democratic Party in the 2020 election for complaining about the rules for the coin toss. So they say it's not fraud because they do not define how to win the coin toss in their things. So the coin.
I love it. I love it.
So that the coin only requirement by law that they have to deal with is that the coin must be tossed. It's completely up to the precinct chair to decide who wins, and they're not even required to look at the coin.
Hey, follow the lawyers and the money.
So I wasn't the first to complain. There was actually another guy that complained first. He'd been in Iowa. He was like almost 90 years old, and he complained about, whatever we do, it must be a legitimate election, and I agreed with him. And so then I was told, well, and we were the precinct chairs, and we were told, as precinct chair, we expect you to use your judgment to make sure that the party preferred candidate wins. So right there, that tells me that 2016, we knew it was high odds that Hillary couldn't have gotten all 6. But it pretty much confirmed it for me right then. And then I was taken out of being the chair of the precinct for that. And then I became the precinct treasurer, which only just writes down some numbers. Again, as long as the Democratic Party does not change the coin toss, it is a rigged election. But in 2020, people in the other states don't realize how soon the election starts in Iowa. It'd be just boom, right after tomorrow, the election for 2024 will start in Iowa. And so they did everything they could to stack the deck against Bernie Sanders. When we had a meeting, it would be, how can we beat Bernie? Not how can we beat Trump? Not how can we how can they beat Bernie? And a lot of us were pretty offended by it. I actually tried to be as fair as possible. We were going to have a float in a parade, and we're going to put candidate stickers on it. They expected party preferred candidates only. And I thought it was our goal, if we put anybody up there, anybody that was running on the Democratic Party, they had a right to have a sticker up there. So I went to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where there was a large convention. And I picked up a Tulsi Gabbard placard to put on there because we didn't have one. And I was seen walking by the Warren crowd, and they told me that it was insulting that I was carrying a Tulsi Gabbard because she wasn't a colored woman like Warren was. You're muted.
Really, really. I mean,
yeah, and I'm like, come on. Everybody believed that she was an American Indian at that point.
Oh,
And
geez.
I'm
It's
just like,
just
what is your reasoning? What is your terminology? What's going on here? For Democrats, we need to be able to listen to all the Democratic candidates. But every meeting, it'd be like, and people think about this Dominion thing. That was nothing. It was every week they'd find out that the stuff wasn't working, and the polls were going up, and they would drop what they were doing and come up with another tactic. So they tried to have one candidate from every special interest group running against Bernie. We had like 31 candidates. So there was a whole bunch of people for the people that only vote for women. There was a whole bunch of people for every different thing. I'm surprised there wasn't a plumber running. Uh, it's just so many things that they're doing everything they could to split off the votes. And when the gay pride parade hit, all the Democrats went down and did everything they could to hire anybody so they could put on a poster that they had gay pride people there. And I don't believe in not using the gay pride people, but I object to using them as props.
props, tokens, right? Absolutely.
Yes. And
That's kind of the thread that we're sick of identity politics being used as a weapon to, instead of talking about the issues that people have as a community, which should make it into platforms they've tokenized people. They have used them as, and we call, I like the phrase the Democratic plantation. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings as a former Democrat. Once upon a time I was a Democrat, and God, I voted for Obama the first term, but we're sick of it, and we see the tokenism, we see the trivialism, the fraud in it, and that's not leadership in our opinion, and it's also so insulting to people who have legitimate issues that are on the ground, right? That are community level, that need both discussion at the state house and in the federal government, and so you're talking to the group of people that have split off, that we're not interested in virtue signaling, right? I'm not interested in that, anymore. And so we get filters that coming in sometimes from the other parts, people who kind of join and think that's what the Independent Green Party is done with that. We're not interested in it. We're interested in, so exactly what you're saying, Snork, that they're tokenizing and trivializing people.
Well, it's
right?
not just tokenizing. The day after election, they completely forget about them.
Well, tokens you throw away. That's what a token is. It is not that you sincerely feel that there's some validity for a policy change or attention with policy. Because first of all, let me say something. There's a big difference between changing social mores and running a government, okay? And social beliefs. We are not in the business of changing all of society. Society is a whole nother ballgame, right? And there's a whole different set of tools to do that, and discussions, and the time frame is not 2 years between an election, right? This is discrete. You win, you lose, you put something in power, someone in power, and they make a decision, they decide, and then there's a set of tools that they have that are limited, and there's a budget on those things. That's different from are we going to integrate schools and believe that it's good, and the underlying belief system. And not that they're not totally separated, but so the tokenistic stuff just basically is saying, we don't care about policy. We're going to treat you as if, your voting unit is a singular belief system, and that determines everything. Now, those things really only exist in spreadsheets. Okay. I understand how you can get to that and approach people and message that way, but at the end of the story, those people are way more complex. They have a couple different things that are really important, and so your ethnicity is a co-factor into your world and what you do. But those are specific issues, and moreover, it's not education; it's a street, it's a school. That's an issue. Is that the teachers suck at the school, or there's something going on at the school? It's a road. It's not transportation. It's a road. And there's a name of the road, and the road's got a pothole that you drive through every single time. That's the issue, right? So, I don't know, I'm sorry to go off.
No,
But I just want to put that in there. That's how we're different from the other Greens. That we're not interested in. Look at me.
Ever since I said my little, chest puffing thing, some Dave Smith fanboys have been kind of triggered, and they've been. And to that I say, bring it. Unite your fucking party then, like, why'd you have to strike a woman's right to choose? That's the socially liberal part of the fiscally conservative, socially liberal platform, right? I don't want any involvement in that mess, to be quite honest. Really, if, it's a lot of parties. I believe it's, in total, 6 parties that seceded. That's a lot. And
you've been also very clear about bodily sovereignty as a common denominator, as a principle that that you're responsible for your body, and that the government can't make you take an injection, any more than your decision about what's going on with your body. I mean, that's a consistent principle as a candidate you've talked about.
I think I'm ready to put something out there that's, I think this will motivate him to stop being such a divisive piece of shit, okay? If Dave Smith doesn't unite his party, say by, give me a date, 2024. I don't. It's like, I'll take your politically homeless state affiliates. I can't say no at that point, can I? Like, somebody give me something about this, I want some moral guidance here.
They're going to have to want to come over, right? And then the discussions are just like any other discussion,
Yeah, I see there's a video you want me to show. But I wanted to say one other thing right now. The Democrats are getting creamed in Iowa right now. And what happened was the Bernie voters in the Democratic Party were the biggest part of the party that went out and got votes. And they basically told us all to leave the party. Yeah. And so the people they needed to win weren't there for them today. I'll go ahead and try to play the
that, and you're talking about that 2016 primary in Iowa. One of the takeaways was that within the Democratic Party, the Hillary Clinton team was, or however you wanted to, the campaign was basically taking all the money and not giving it to local party races. I guess maybe
that is exactly correct.
Which is, if you want to destroy your party, that's how you do it. You don't have any downwind success. There's no way they can win on your coattails if you're sucking up all the juice. It's got to go back down. So they were disinvesting in their own party. Okay, yeah. With this nonsense.
In 2016, the woman that ran against Stephen King said that all the money that was raised with her face to bring in all the money, she saw none of it. It all was redirected right to Hillary. Right. I'll go ahead and play the video.
Yeah, there are a lot of Bernie sympathetic people. I like Bernie. Course. I remember when we were doing meetings.
Yeah, I did like Bernie until I knew he was just a useless twit.
Well, the fun part was taking a meme organization from 5,000 people to 500,000 people on Facebook and watching the Hillary Clinton gang totally not know what to do.
Freak out. I mean, Obama set up social media for her. I mean, he's the one who implemented social media as one of his biggest tools, and it's trippy that she didn't get that. I thought they were on the fucking same side. But anyway, so this video is what all right,
here,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say I'll start it up.
Yeah, it's just right now that one of their things is saying not just taking away democracy, but they're saying that the Republicans want to destroy your Social Security, which is old fucking news. But who else wanted to destroy Social Security?
Here we go.
Joe, you're right here with me.
Yeah.
Have you been on the floor of the Senate? You were in the Senate for a few years.
Yeah.
Time and time again talking about the necessity with pride about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans programs?
No.
You never said that.
No.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans spending. I meant every single solitary thing in the government.
Look, here's the deal.
You're an honest guy. Why don't you tell the truth here? We all make mistakes.
I am telling the truth.
And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
Joe, let me repeat it again. I want you just to be straight with the American people. I am saying that you have been on the floor of the Senate time and time again talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. Is that true or is that not true?
No, it's not true.
That is not true?
That is not true.
I meant veterans spending. I meant every single solitary thing in the government.
Everything was on the table. I did not support any of those cuts in Social Security or in veterans.
Whoa. Everything was on the table. All right, you're right. You just said it, including, in your judgment, cuts to Social Security and veterans.
In order to get the kinds of changes we need on other things related.
Joe, then
but we did not cut it.
I know, because people like me helped stop that. All that I would say to the American people, go to YouTube. It's all over the place. Joe said it many, many times, and I'm surprised. You know, you can defend that or change your mind on it, but you can't deny the reality.
Yeah. And this is something that they're running off of, and the problem is nobody wants to show this.
So Bernie wins a little point by going, "You didn't say that? What? You didn't say that?"
Right.
So that's what you're supposed to think.
Right.
He says the part that you're supposed to think. Good debate.
Yeah.
I like his little bouncing. So that if we get to this.
So what are you saying? Is that if you do this and you do that,
if you do this,
and you're doing that, but you didn't say you said that. Are you sure you did that?
I wonder if he's a tactile learner too.
Probably. But I mean, and then
the more messed up his hair is, the better it gets. Man.
Yeah, when there's a guy that used to play him on SNL, did a great job doing it. I forgot his name, but he's a writer, director, or something. But there's another video on what's going on today that kind of is happening to Bernie in a way, but it's happening to Carrie Lake, and it's the next. I don't know if Snork wants to share that next one.
Carrie Lake, I watched her take up. We're paying attention to how she takes apart media because she goes after him the way Bernie used to.
She said she'll
are not talking about issues.
Yeah, no, she said she'll take she understands the process. She's a media mogul, right? Let's put that out there, no doubt.
It's ugly. You know what they do.
Oh yeah. So yeah, if you want to play that, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have the sound on?
Can you turn it up if you can?
Oh.
It's good. It's good.
Everybody wants to make sure that it reads and everything is fine.
Can you repeat that?
I can promise
Can you start from the beginning and repeat that?
So what happens is we have two tabulators. One of the tabulators is not working, okay? The other tabulator is taking about 75% successful. So 25% of them are being misread, and it could be a printer issue, or it could be the tabulator itself. So when it's misread, you have an option to put it into what's called box 3, and it gets read, whether it goes downtown and gets read manually, or whether it gets refed into our tabulator.
You don't want to adjudicate.
They get read, okay? So no one's trying to deceive anybody.
Of course not. Not on election day. That would never happen, right? That would never happen.
Of course, that'll never happen.
So choices are, you guys. Sure.
If I get up there and that happens to my ballot, can I take my ballot with me and go somewhere else?
You cannot leave the premises with the ballot. Sorry, and there's not like you can go to
Because I don't trust going to box.
Yeah, this didn't happen in one district. Okay, go ahead and stop it. Go ahead and stop it. Yes.
Why is this happening?
Yes. Yeah. So somebody else did a video. I was looking for this other video, and thank you for sharing that, by the way. This wasn't just a singular facility. This was going on in many facilities in Maricopa.
And I'll show you one facility that I was at.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So let me just.
And how does that happen? I mean, I can understand a machine kind of going down. Maybe it's just not working right.
So
But
this was earlier. This was earlier. Now this says up to 6,000.
Right.
We don't know the for sure number, but I just want to point this out to people too. And it's a problem. Stupid computer. A problem with the link between voter registry. Okay, no, not that one. Oh yeah, may have caused as many as 6. Oh my goodness. So, oh God. So apparently what happened, I'm just going to put this in layman's terms for everybody watching. What happened was up to 6,000, so more than 6,000 voters received ballots that only had federal races on them. They didn't have the gubernatorial race on them. 90% of Arizona does early voting. This was with the early voting.
Mm-hmm.
So we still need to know for sure how many ballots for sure this happened to, because it says up to 6,000. 6,000 is a big number already, but I want to see the solid figure. That is a really big, thing to need to be found out right now.
And it needs to be said, to clarify, she's running for governor, and she's also supervising the race for governor as Secretary of State. But she's not stepping away. There's no deputy that's taking charge, even if that would be adequate either. But so she is actually, in the middle of this, not alone just making a mistake as Secretary of State. She's a candidate. She's the candidate for
no conflict of interest there.
That video, I saw that exact video that was played earlier on. That woman walking away, tired of the foolishness. And I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of people get into their cars. I'm trying to share the video.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah, so I want to show the video.
I am not done. Will's like, I am not done.
Parking lot. Team members of my campaign and I have been offering refreshments to voters coming out here to vote and exercise their rights. And look behind me. An extreme amount of cars over here. They do not want to let you vote. Well, Katie, my opponent, does not want to let you vote. She is scared that she is not going to get this promotion. Do not let her steal this promotion. Vote. Stay in line. So today, team members of... And did you see those cars taking off?
You're a good egg, William. Proud of you, man.
Those people didn't vote yet.
Are you saying that the parking lot was full with extraneous cars that people just parked there, and those were not voters?
Those were people who wanted to vote. They were waiting in line. And my refreshments weren't enough to keep them in line, sadly.
How long do you have to wait in line? Were a lot of those people there?
I wasn't, people kind of got onto what I was doing at some places. I went to 4. At some places, that's the only video I really felt I could get away with in such an area, in such a heated election right now. But, I was just there, really, at those 4 places to give out refreshments. That's what I spent my time doing. That's what I spent my money doing. My hard-earned money doing.
I'm not getting why you were pointing out the cars. They were there to vote, but they weren't able to vote, or what happened?
They were there to vote. They weren't able to vote, so drove off.
Okay.
So there were several cars that drove off behind me while this was going down.
Because of the machines or something just wasn't working, and the process was being stifled. Is that what you're saying?
The details. I was there while it was happening, so I got that experience. I didn't get, the the real, on paper, documentation of events. But like, I was there. I saw people waiting in line, not being allowed to vote, being held up in a line, trying to exercise their right to vote on the last day. People are allowed to vote.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazingly terrible and horrifying. All right, so here's what's going to go on. I got to get going, guys. I want to thank you guys for being on. It's getting a little late for me. I got stuff to do, as usual. Will, it was exciting to have you here. Next time you run, please get in touch with me before you even think about moving forward. Snork, good to have you here. I'm glad you're getting better. And, of course, Zach, it's been a pleasure. It's good talking with you. Hopefully we can have some more good conversations like this. People with good intentions, thoroughly, ethics, morals, folkways, norms, good character, integrity, stuff like that. It's hard to find. It's hard to find these days, and we're just hoping that people, no matter how easy it is for them to get into these positions of power, our biggest concern is it's just a matter of time nowadays if they get compromised and if they take the deal. Whether it's from a corporatist or a globalist or some corporation or whatever they get, lobbyist or whatever the case may be. This is our biggest concern, and the entire system just needs a major overhaul.
Independent Green Party. Just remember, Independent Green Party, because they suck and we rock. That's the new slogan.
Well, here's my question. Now, you got 2 years before you continue. Is there another word you want to use? I mean, to being attached to because the Green Party is going to run Howard again. Jill's going to suck, and they're just going to lose. This is going to fucking happen. So being attached, that's my question. So can we, I mean, I was a part of them, but is there another name we can start to create just to get it on the ballot? I mean, we've got time.
Yeah, Emerald Party.
Emerald, that's what we've been doing. So
I like the Emerald Party.
We have the Georgia Green Party, the Rhode Island Green Party.
Like Emerald City, and we're going to tell you who's behind the curtain at Emerald City.
Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
Just follow the Yellow Brick Road. That's a good. All of that slogan just pays off,
Oh, the journalists are gonna have fun with that. But,
that's fine.
They need help.
Yeah, let's give them something to talk about.
Let's do another one of these with the judge. Sometime soon. He's been. I did a space with him. You know what Twitter Spaces are, but that's what I want. Twitter Spaces, it's basically this, but it's like, you can just put it on, you don't get on the video. But,
but I'd like it to be public if we're doing stuff that's going to benefit the masses. That's why I do my monotalk. But anyway, you guys, I want to thank you for being here. Snork, good seeing you. Will, thank you for inviting me over, then bringing it to here. I don't know what happened, but it's a good thing we're here. You guys can always just grab a clip of this. I'm going to leave this up. We didn't talk about anything too crazy. I don't think they're going to knock this down. Like they have so many other of my videos. I'm going to do the Shaka. Aloha, guys. Thanks for being here.
Shaka.